Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 270 for November 15th, 2022. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On today's show, the matchup is set for the 109th CFL Grey Cup championship game, and there are no more undefeated teams in the NFL. In this week's history lesson, we have part one of our discussion of the greatest offensive and defensive team nicknames in football history. But I'm not here by myself. Across the table for me, as always, is my son Adam.
I got nothing funny to say. We got a lot to get to today, so let's just get to it. Oh, and it's really crappy outside.
Yeah,
Stupid
we got snow on the ground for the first time. We had snow on the ground yesterday, I think was the first time this season, but it went away, and now we got more, so don't have to shovel or nothing, but it is there. Welcome to winter in Michigan. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of this show, as well as other selected videos. So, let's begin today's show with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
What an exciting week it was for the World of Football scoreboard.
Man, there were a couple
very
of
exciting
great
between CFL, NFL,
Yep.
college, just so many great games. So we started obviously with Week 10 of the NFL, which started Thursday night and saw the Carolina Panthers defeat the Atlanta Falcons 25-15. The Panthers, of course, wearing their all-black uniforms for the first time in person. I know you didn't like it.
No.
I am a fan of it. I just think that the logo on the helmet, I don't know what the problem is. They look like they printed it off at their printer and then just taped it to the helmet because the black doesn't match the black helmet. They should have just used a decal that just had a transparent. The black outlines. Part should have, the blue outlines should have been put on the helmet. I think it would have looked great. So not quite perfect. I'd give it like a 98%, good, but I like the Panthers all black.
Well, I'll give it the 1% then. It was terrible.
But what a bad game to watch because it was a little slow. The rain really stopped a lot of the big plays. I mean, there were still a couple of big plays, but definitely not as high octane of a Thursday night game as we've gotten like last week.
Yeah, so they fell back into that snooze fest of a Thursday night game.
Back to the snooze fest. Not across the pond wasn't a snooze fest as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeated the Seattle Seahawks 21-16. Tom Brady failed to catch a trick play pass, and the ball got intercepted. That was the highlight from that game.
Yeah.
But the Bucs still came out with the win, 21-16 over the Seahawks. My only thing from this is that Tom Brady is now 2-0 since his divorce. He is really good overseas, apparently.
Yeah, 4-0. Well, he's won 4 games.
4 games in 4 different countries. So
U.S., England, Mexico, and now Germany.
And I don't know if you got this in the rundown later, but talking about where the NFL plans on maybe some future locations. But I do want to say that there was a billboard in Munich saying that their NFL is coming back next year with the Kansas City Chiefs on the billboard. I don't know how valid that is, or if that's just a general, the NFL will be back for Munich, Germany. I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's see. In the 1 o'clock slate of games, we had the Kansas City Chiefs defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-17. Nothing really of note from that one from me.
Nope.
The Miami Dolphins defeated the Cleveland Browns 39-17. The New York Giants defeated the Houston Texans 24-16. Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the New Orleans Saints 20-10. But let's get into some of the few big games that happened there right at the top. Let's start with, of course, the Detroit Lions defeating the Chicago Bears 31-30. Didn't see this one coming. The Lions came back from 14 points down going into the fourth quarter for the first time since
Matthew Stafford was there.
No, since 1993.
Oh.
Don't you remember that stat they flashed? The Lions had not been able to complete a comeback when being down, or maybe it was like 10 points or more going into the fourth quarter. First time the Lions have done it since 1993. Both of my brothers weren't even born yet.
That's right.
The last time this happened. But crazy game there at the end. We didn't watch the game together. I was in a hotel room watching it.
Yep.
and was videotaped apparently when that last big stop happened for the Lions.
Oh man, I was. That last play was crazy. I mean, one guy had a shot at him, and Justin Fields.
Because we had seen Justin Fields bob and weave and get through all the defenders like a couple times that day, and I was like, here we go again.
Yeah, I figured he's going to take off running, and he's going to get the first down. And then a second guy had a swipe at him and couldn't get him. And then finally another guy grabbed him, and eventually 3 other guys came over. So 4 guys took him to the ground. But, oh, my God, it was so close to him getting away and possibly winning that game.
But the big difference in this game, I mean, both these teams were pretty even. Jalen Hurts was clearly the best player on the field, but the Lions' defense, as bad as it's been, stepped up in some key spots. They got a crucial interception return for a touchdown. But the big difference maker, and as soon as it happened, I was like, I can't believe this is giving us a shot, was the missed point after attempt by the Chicago Bears there. As soon as that happened, then they went up by 6 points instead of 7. I was like, oh, my God.
There's a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance. Yeah, and it happened. And I can't believe it. The Lions have won 2 straight games for the first time since. I was going to look this up, and I can't even tell you the last time that I remember the Lions winning back-to-back.
The first road win for Dan Campbell.
So it's a big win for him.
First win.
The Lions matched their win total from last year with 3 victories. Yep. So stop all this. Lions fans out there, if you're listening, please stop with the draft talk.
They're working on it. They're getting better.
And it's clear that this regime so far, knock on wood, has been able to draft guys the last 2 years. Yep. It is clear that they have gotten some dudes.
Yep.
So I don't think it matters where they pick. Will you get the flashy number 1 quarterback in the draft? Maybe not. But if this regime is worth anything that it's been doing so far, maybe they'll find a guy. And I'm going to put my faith in that at least. Yeah. Dan Campbell, I'm still, like I said, I'm a 1 foot in, 1 foot out on Dan Campbell as a head coach right now. But you can't argue with the fight that he's got with a team like this in terms, especially comparing it to the last regime. Mm-hmm. And maybe in the regime before that, just this fight, this grit that they do have, it's there. It's a thing.
And Detroit is going to have 2 first-round picks, their own and the one from the Los Angeles Rams. So maybe they could, if they really want somebody, they can trade one of those away to get who they want.
Maybe, or both of them.
I mean, that's a good position to be in.
Maybe. So we'll see what happens. Yep. But again, for me now, not talk about the draft. Especially when the Lions are technically a couple games away from a playoff spot. I don't even want to talk about that.
Yeah,
I don't even want to get my hopes up for that. No. So stop it, everybody. Let's just 1 week at a time. But as soon as this Lions game got over, it turned over to the last 2 minutes of probably the game of the year, which was the Minnesota Vikings defeating the Buffalo Bills 33-30 in overtime. This was just absolutely bonkers. Just even by the time we tuned in, it was they cut right to the game, and it was Justin Jefferson making an incredible sideline catch. Justin Jefferson is just the best receiver in the NFL. This dude is insanely awesome. I love watching him. He came down with a pass that should have been intercepted, but he was able to yank it and pull it down with him. Yep. And then he had a couple other great catches along the sideline from there to the overtime, which was great. Even Stephon Diggs had a catch during that game. So they were 2 equally matched teams, and it came down to a blunder there when Minnesota couldn't get that 4th down conversion into the end zone.
Yep.
And all Buffalo had to do was get a couple yards at the 1 yard line and fumbled it, and Minnesota recovered it to tie it up, send it to overtime.
Didn't I say they should have taken a safety?
I don't know. We weren't talking at the time.
Well, that's okay. I told your mother they should have taken a safety.
That's what a lot of people
said that after the
hindsight's
after the
2020.
But I knew it ahead of time. I said, man, they should probably just take a. It'd still be up by 2 points.
To me, it's you have Josh Allen who. Yeah. Come on. How often does he fumble? You hold on to that ball and you just fall forward. How hard is it to just fall forward and the ball got knocked out and chaos ensues? So now I think the analytics will now tell people you go for the safety here and you risk giving them the ball back on their end of the field with 20 seconds left.
He didn't even get the ball. It was a bad exchange from center. He never had control of the ball. It hit him in the hands and it bounced right on the ground. So, that was...
Yeah, so Minnesota gets it in overtime. They go down, they get the field goal. Buffalo with a chance to go down, get the game-winning touchdown. Allen throws a dart, and it gets intercepted to end the game. So heartbreaker there. And apparently, a stat I didn't know, but those last 4 overtime, big overtime games Buffalo's been in, they've lost.
Yeah.
Think about that. So Buffalo, if they get in overtime, I'd be sweating if I was a Bills fan.
Well, this is the one thing that I came away from this game is that the Bills are not as good as I thought they were. Mm. I thought they were going to run away with the whole season.
Yeah, you and I talked about this because I said that Buffalo defense is going to be what holds them back from being great.
But Buffalo, in my mind now, after this loss, they're not the team I thought they were. And the Vikings are a lot better than I thought they were. I was giving the Vikings no chance this season.
I think the Vikings are still on par with them. I think they got out of one there.
Yeah.
But I think, they're 8-1. They're 8-1. I think now a lot of people are looking at them as, are they the best team in the league?
I don't know if they're the best.
I won't go that far either.
But they are better than I thought they were.
Yeah.
I didn't think they'd be anywhere near 8-1 at this point in the season.
Yeah. All right, moving on. The Denver Broncos defeated the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans defeated the Denver Broncos 17-10. Then the Indianapolis Colts, with brand new head coach signed off the streets, Jeff Saturday, defeated the Las Vegas Raiders 25-20. Who saw that coming?
Man,
Not me.
I was shocked when I saw this.
But Jeff Saturday, was sitting on his couch a week ago.
Yeah.
Now he's sitting here.
Well, he put in the quarterback that the previous coach had benched. Matt Ryan?
Yep, Matt Ryan.
And there was another player too that he pulled off the sidelines. So he basically just made a few personnel changes, and they went out and won the game for him.
Yep.
So I don't know how much influence he had.
Hard to say, but it's kind of silent some critics. We'll see the long term from here to the end of the season.
It's just one game.
But yeah, a lot of stuff was already in place. All he had to do was just make a couple decisions. So I don't know. I have no idea what to say. I still would say I don't agree with the hiring of Jeff Saturday, but you cannot argue with results. And what is the NFL? It is a results-based league. Yeah. So,
well, like I said, it's just one game. We'll see what happens.
It is just one game.
Weeks to come.
And in a game that tried to challenge that Buffalo-Minnesota game for being the best game of the week, if not of the year, the Green Bay Packers-Dallas Cowboys game, where the Packers came out with a 31-28 overtime victory over the Dallas Cowboys. I caught some of this game. Unbelievable. Green Bay was down by 2 scores. So this is the third game this week where between Dallas-Green Bay, down by 14 to Dallas.
Yeah.
Minnesota was down to Buffalo by a couple touchdowns at one point. The Lions were down to Chicago. So 3 NFC North teams fought back by double digits to come back and win those games, 2 of those overtime games. So what a crazy weekend of football. I think they said that's the first time that's ever happened, that 3 teams have been down by 10 points or more going into the fourth quarter and come back to win in the same day. So just a crazy day of football there.
If Green Bay had won that game.
They did win. Green Bay did win that game.
I'm sorry. If Green Bay had lost that game, Detroit would now be in second place.
Oh, gee, we're going to go back to talk about that after you said we don't want to talk about playoffs, but you'll talk about being in second place in the division.
Hey, when's the last time we were in second place in the division?
Probably not that long.
Probably when you were 5 years old.
Probably no. Actually, probably week 2 when they were 1-1.
Well, whatever.
Tied for first in the division.
At this point in the season, anyway.
True.
But
it's been a couple years.
So right now they're in third place in the division over the
Bears by like a half a game.
Yeah.
So whatever.
All
right.
It's better than being in the basement, which is where we've been living for the last several years.
I guess, but Aaron Rodgers finally waking up and looking like his old self in that game.
Yeah, I don't think that'll continue.
Yeah, we'll see. The Los Angeles Rams fell to the Arizona Cardinals 27-17. The only thing from this was Cooper Kupp getting injured, and apparently he's been put on injured reserve today, which stinks because Cooper Kupp is one of the best players to watch. Yeah, but apparently going into this game, both Matthew Stafford and Kyler Murray, the starting quarterbacks for both of these teams, were inactive for the game. So
that's right.
So they went into this with backup quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And that's all I know about this game, to be honest with you. I didn't really catch much from this.
I didn't see much of it either.
Didn't catch much from this Sunday night game either, as the 49ers defeated the Los Angeles Chargers 22-16. Did you watch any of that last night? Or the other night?
I did. I think I went to bed at halftime.
Oh, so I never caught any of this on Sunday.
Couldn't stay up.
Yeah, I think I fell asleep. So whatever. And then Monday night last night saw the Washington Commanders defeat the undefeated Eagles 32-21. So that we have no more undefeated teams. The Eagles getting beat by the Commanders, who lost to the Lions, I would like to mention.
Yeah, and we were there for that.
Yeah, we were there for that. But I'm just a little shocked, but even you said during our weekly pick show that maybe, just maybe, this could be the one the Commanders could get away with. Not that you picked the Commanders.
No, I did not pick them. I still picked Philadelphia, but I thought that this had a real possibility for Washington to come up and steal one, and they did, and I should have bet on them, but I went with my head, which said take the Eagles because
I think a lot of people said take the Eagles.
Everybody on our picks list, everybody took the Philadelphia. So, but And a few years ago, I guess the Washington team beat somebody else and ruined their perfect season, 11-0. I forget who that was, but I fell asleep during that game last night too. But I did wake up with about 5 minutes to go, and I look at the score and I'm like, "Holy mackerel! They're still up ahead on that game."
Yeah.
So that was an interesting ending.
All right. Well, that's it for the NFL this week. We'll go make sure to check out our YouTube where we're going to do our weekly picks for Week 11, which will be up. Let's see, today's Tuesday.
Be up Thursday.
Up Wednesday. No, we try to get it up Wednesday evening now.
Sure. Okay.
All right. Moving on to the CFL, where it was the conference final weekend. That's right. The final 4 teams fighting for the rights to go to that 109th Grey Cup matchup in Regina. All right. And we start with the Toronto Argonauts defeating the Montreal Alouettes in the Eastern Conference Finals 34-27. Toronto scored first and never trailed in the game. Argos quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson completed 19 passes for 299 yards, or yads if you're Randy writing the script, and 2 touchdowns. What's a yad?
You got a yad here and a yad there.
Oh my God! This ain't a bit. Nope, we're not doing it. We're not sticking with it. Running back Andrew Harris ran the ball 9 times for 42 yards and a TD. Wide receiver DeVaris Daniels caught 3 passes for 108 yards and a touchdown. And then wide receiver Curly Gittins caught 9 passes for 97 yards as well as a touchdown. See, you get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown.
Everybody was
getting a touchdown. Then running back William Standback ran the ball 12 times for 84 yards and a touchdown, while rookie wide receiver Tyson Philpott caught 8 passes for 128 yards and a YD. I don't know what that means. I assume you mean a touchdown. Again, another script error. 1 paragraph, I found 2 errors.
Nobody would know that if you didn't bring it up.
And if I didn't bring it up, how would they know?
They're not supposed to know. Just keep reading.
My bad. The Argos have won the last 6 Grey Cup games that they have played in since 1991. Attendance at the game was 21,331 people, Randy would like you to note.
Yeah, I think Toronto was averaging like only 12,000.
It looked like a packed house there.
Yeah,
it looked awesome. And we were flipping back and forth between the game and watching the Lions game. We being me and my girlfriend. We were going back and forth watching the Lions game, and I'd check back in the CFL game and then try to mansplain what the CFL was. Randy's got a cough over there, so I guess he's not going to talk. But it looked like a packed place. I was like, I should have been there this year at some point. Should have been there.
Yeah, that's all I kept looking at too. Was,
do you need a drink of water? You sound like you need a drink of water.
We were so close to being there, and it was just funny seeing that. But yeah, I had the picture-in-picture going, so I was flipping back and forth.
You did.
Nobody was yelling at me this week for not going back to the Lions game in time while I was watching CFL action.
Good.
So that was
you learned your lesson.
That was nice.
You learned your lesson.
No, that was nice. Not having somebody wanting control of the remote.
Well, when one person's watching another football game and then we come back to the Lions game and we're missing a couple plays, I'm a happy camper. I want to see everything. All right. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the Western Conference Final defeated the British Columbia Lions 28-20. Winnipeg led this game 19-8 going into the half. They never trailed during the second half, so it was all Blue Bombers pretty much. Quarterback for the Blue Bombers, Zach Collaros, completed 14 passes for 178 yards and a touchdown, while running back Bradley Oliveira ran the ball. Huh? Brady. Sorry.
I wrote that.
You did write that correctly. All right. Yeah. Called me out for saying it wrong. That's fine. Equal. Bradley. I did it again. Brady Oliveira. Brady, you need to change your name to Bradley. Help make me right. Brady Oliveira ran the ball. If it's not a last name, how am I going to remember it's Brady? Brady Oliveira ran the ball 20 times for 130 yards, and wide receiver Nick Dembski led the receivers with 5 catches for 74 yards, while wide receiver Jerian Grant returned a punt 92 yards for a touchdown in the second quarter.
That's Janarian Grant, but that's fine.
Sorry.
That's close.
Okay. Janarian Grant, yes.
He who did not want to go through the script beforehand.
Well, usually you tell me, like, there's a couple names you might not get, and I'm like, whatever, I'll wing it, and I usually nail it. This is that one time out of 40 that I don't get.
Continue, please.
For the British Columbia Lions, though, quarterback Nathan Rourke, one of our favorite CFL players, completed 20 passes for 300 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions, unfortunately.
Yeah.
While wide receiver Keon Hatcher caught 7 passes for 133 yards, while running back Terry, did I say his name right? Terry Williams.
I think it's Terry.
Oh, my God, I'm going to punch you in the face. Ran a missed field goal back 126 yards for a 2-point conversion in the third quarter. That was a cool play.
It was. I posted that replay on our Twitter feed. Check that out. Man.
And the attendance for this game was 30,319 people. This will be the third straight Grey Cup for the Blue Bombers. But as you mentioned, with the Argonauts winning every Grey Cup they've been in since 1991, could the streak come to an end?
Oh, boy. We will find out this week.
I'm not feeling it, as the Toronto Argonauts, who went 12-7 this year, will play the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who went 16-3 this year. I'm definitely feeling a three-peat for the Blue Bombers, but I will be pulling for them Argos.
Exactly. I'm rooting for Toronto, but I don't see them beating Winnipeg this year. Winnipeg's just been too strong all year long. Looks like a three-peat for them.
Yep. And then throwing it over to Randy, who will take us through the college scores. But I just want to remind everybody, tonight's the new rankings, and Randy will quickly gloss over the 4 teams that got the top 4 spots last week. So take it over.
All right, this was week 10 at the FBS level. Number 1, Georgia defeated Mississippi State 45-19. Number 2, Ohio State over Indiana 56-14. It was number 3, Michigan over Nebraska 34-3. And it was number 4, TCU over number 18, Texas 17-10. And then it was several upsets here. It was number 25, Washington upsetting number 6, Oregon 37-34. Arizona upset number 12 UCLA 34-28.
With an interim coach. No, wait, that's Arizona State. Never mind. I thought I was going to be smart there. I'm going to take a step back.
Is this your segment?
It is not, so I'm going to take a step back. My bad.
Boston College upset number 16 NC State 21-20. Number 22 UCF upset number 17 Tulane 38-31. Purdue upset number 21 Illinois 31-24. And Vanderbilt upset number 24 Kentucky 24-21. And there was another Wednesday night game. There's games every night this week, it seems like. Northern Illinois over Western Michigan 24-21, and this was part of the 27 straight days of college and NFL football games being played on your television sets between October 27th and November 22nd. Yeah, Western Michigan's been a part of 2 of those. Part of that streak already.
We only got 7 days left.
And it wasn't just a Western game. There were like 3 games on that night.
A lot of action.
Yep, MAC games going on that week or that night. All right, in the military academies, it was number 20 Notre Dame over Navy, 35-32. It was Air Force over New Mexico, 35-3, and Troy over Army, 10-9. Now we go down to some of the lower levels, and from here on, it's just 3 random scores from each division that I happen to find.
As Randy dictates, will make the cut.
Yeah. I used to do more, but 3 is plenty.
We know, and I still think this is too much.
Okay. All right, at the FCS level, it was Yale over Princeton 24-10, Murray State over Robert Morris 27-9, Montana State over Cal Poly 72-28. In Division II, it was Sioux Falls over Upper Iowa 50-6, Valdosta State over Shorter 30-28, and Simon Fraser over West Texas A&M 46-14. At the Division III level, it was Trine over Kalamazoo College 42-19, Tufts over Middlebury 65-34, and Mount Union over Baldwin Wallace 23-21. At the NAIA level, this was the last week of their regular season before their playoffs begin. It was Concordia of Michigan over St. Francis of Fort Wayne, Indiana, 27-10. Carroll of Montana over the College of Idaho, 21-6. And Siena Heights of Michigan over Taylor of Indiana, 24-7. Going down to the National Junior College Athletic Association, number 5, Snow College improved to 7-2 with their win over the Monroe Mustangs, 34-14. This game was actually on ESPN Plus, and I did catch some of this.
Okay, finally.
I caught some of the fourth quarter. I kind of wanted to watch the whole game, but I had errands I had to run, and just things got in the way. So, I did catch the tail end of it. So I did get to see their stadium live. I mean, I've seen some replays here and there and pictures, but it's not the same as watching a game live from Utah. And it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. I want to go there someday. that's a bucket list for me. All right, another junior college action. It was Coffeyville over Garden City, 30-21, and Nassau shut out Connecticut State, 55-0. Now we head on up to Canada for the U Sports Conference Finals. This is their college football system up there. In the East, it was the Western Mustangs over Queens Golden Gales, 44-16 in the Yates Cup. It was the Laval Red and Gold over the Montreal Carabins, 25-24 in the Dunsmore Cup. In the West, it was St. Francis Xavier X-Men over Mount Allison Mounties, 21-14 in the Loney Bowl. And the Saskatchewan Huskies defeated the University of British Columbia Thunderbirds, 23-8 in the Hardy Cup. So that sets up a couple of bowl games that are going to determine who's going to the Vanier Cup. In the Mitchell Bowl in the East, it's going to be the Laval Red and Gold versus the Western Mustangs. And in the West, in the UTEC Bowl, it's going to be the Saskatchewan Huskies versus the St. Francis Xavier X-Men. The winners of these two bowls are going to advance to the 57th the 57th Vanier Cup in London, Ontario on November 26th. And usually the Vanier Cup is the same weekend as the Grey Cup, but this year it's a week after the Grey Cup. I remember several years ago they had the Vanier Cup played on Saturday in Hamilton, and the very next day in the same stadium they played the Grey Cup game. So a little unusual. I don't think I've seen the Vanier Cup after the Grey Cup, so that might be a first. All right, and finally, in the Canadian Junior Football League, it was their championship game last Saturday. The Okanagan Sun defeated the Regina Rams 21-19 at Mosaic Stadium in Regina, home of the CFL's Saskatchewan Roughriders. So congratulations to the Okanagan Sun for winning the Canadian Junior Football League Championship up there. And that is it for this week's World of Football Scoreboard.
Woo-wee! You might need some Gatorade after finishing that marathon. Dang!
Okay, let's move on to some NFL news. You brought this to my attention the other day. The Dolphins could be going back to their classic uniforms. The current uniforms that they're wearing and the logo were unveiled in 2013.
Okay, so when I sent this to you, we had a discussion about this before. The tweet I saw, it looked like an official, and it had the verified thing next to the Twitter account, Miami Dolphins. I just didn't look closely at the and it was not the official Miami Dolphins page, because now Twitter's in a weird state of flux where you can buy official stamps. So apparently we've still found the tweet from our messages, and apparently that account got deleted or deactivated. So to take that for a grain of salt, but you said you did see actual articles saying the Dolphins still actually, there could be a kernel of truth to this.
What you saw was that they were absolutely positively going to change back to their old logo, which made me so happy. Because
I was kind of excited to see that too, but then figured out it was a fake account. So,
right. But I did find an article, and I reposted it on our Twitter feed. I think that was from USA Today, but there was another one on ESPN saying that there is serious talk about them going back to that uniform full time.
We're all here for it.
But the owner just hasn't bought into it yet. But a lot of people, a lot of fans want it. People within the organization, I think, want it. So there is serious talk about going back to their original, the Dan Marino style logo on the helmet. And I would love that. I have never ever liked when they changed the helmet logo.
Yeah, the current one. The uniform, they changed the blue up. I just didn't like the colors. I like the logo. The colors, I wish they would just go back to those colors, but we'll see what happens. I don't have a big problem with it, but I think it would be cool for them to go back to retro. Retro's always a thing. I always like, hey, jump back to that one. Like, that's cool. Like when the Giants did it back in the...
And the Jets.
When they jumped back from like their 80s attire to the like 60s, 70s, which looked great. And I'm glad the Giants have stuck with it. The Jets done screwed up and tweaked their uniforms again, but maybe that just gives them an opportunity in a few years to jump back to that retro look. So I think it's kind of cool. Like, you go modern for a few years, and then you jump back to the classic. I'm totally okay with that.
I can't believe it's been almost 10 years that they've had that new helmet.
It's hard to believe either, right?
Yeah, I didn't think it was that
crazy.
Long,
yeah,
I never ever cared for it, and I was upset the minute they changed it. So hopefully they will go back. Hopefully by next year.
We'll see.
We'll see. The NFL is looking at locations in France and Spain for possible future international games.
Very exciting stuff. I like seeing the NFL expanding a little bit to those, but I mean, until we get something concrete, nothing's official yet.
Do you remember a year ago or so there was an article, and we talked about it on the show.
If we talked about it on the show, I don't remember it at all.
Where a lot of the NFL was dividing up, the entire world. You have the rights in this country, you have the rights in this country, and I think I forget which team has the rights in Spain, but I don't think anybody has the rights in France for some reason.
You have to dig that up. I thought that was just for merchandise.
Well, that's kind of for everything, I guess. So
interesting.
But if you've got merchandising rights in that country, why wouldn't you want to have a game in that country? And Spain makes sense because Spanish-speaking country, the same as Mexico, they've already got Spanish language broadcasters and whatnot. So that kind of makes sense. France, I don't know if they've ever they used to have the Barcelona Dragons. In the World Football League or World League of NFL Europe, I forget NFL Europe. So
World League of American Football.
Right,
by
that's
the
what
way.
I was trying to say.
Man, even I remember that.
But yeah, so they're looking at stadiums, they're looking at locations, and I don't know if they'll put together something as soon as next year.
It might not be for next year, but I bet you we would get, here's your slate for next year at some point during the offseason. Here's our international slate for next year, and then in 2024, here's the locations we're going to add to the international games.
Yeah, and they did say something in the article where they said that one of the reasons they went to a 17-game schedule is so that everybody will have a chance to host one home game overseas.
Yeah.
So they're a few years away from that, but they're seriously looking at more locations other than just England, Germany, and Mexico.
Hey, just think if you added a second or an 18th game to the schedule,
right.
Got rid of that preseason game. That's 2 international games. You could have a home and an away international game for each
That's
team.
going to happen. They're going to go to 18 games in the next few years. The 17-game format is stupid.
You get your 8 home games, you get your 8 away games, and you get your 1 international home game, and then your 1 international away game.
Yeah. But they're going to go to 18 eventually, just like the CFL. 2 preseason games, 18-game regular season. I don't see why they didn't do it to begin with, but
baby steps, Randy.
One thing at a time.
Baby steps.
And something else that we had kind of talked about is the new Hard Knocks season, the in-season thing.
Yep, and totally
with the Arizona Cardinals.
I haven't watched it, but I've seen clips from it, and it was like from one of the games where Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, it was just a clip of them yelling at each other, coming off the sideline. And that's the drama. That's the stuff I would love, that I want from a Hard Knocks, in season. Let's see that off the field, what happened on that play? Let's hear the actual guys when they came off the field. What were they yelling at each other? That's what I'm here for. I just haven't sat down to watch it. Yeah. Maybe this week I'll find time to watch this episode and the new episode that come out. I think tonight or tomorrow night. I forget when the new episode comes out.
Who did the in-season last year?
Last year was the Indianapolis
Colts. That's right. And we watched the
first
episode.
One,
and I said, screw this. I'm not watching this. It's nothing like the preseason one. So I'm really not into this one this year. If you want to watch it, fine. If you want to talk about it,
wow,
fine.
I'm glad I have my own rights and I can watch it at my leisure. Good Lord.
Yes, you may. You have my permission. All right, let's see. Some CFL news. It looks like quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell could be heading to the Hamilton Tiger Cats from the Calgary Stampeders.
Well, they did say that it was a trade.
Yep.
That the Stampeders would be acquiring draft picks while the Tiger Cats would be getting Bo Levi Mitchell's rights. But then you were pointing out he has yet to sign. It would have to be a new contract.
Yeah, it's not a done deal. There's things to be worked out. So it looks like it's going to happen, but technically it's not a done deal yet. So
okay, well, I just saw the big thing on the Twitter account. I'm like, that makes it official. So
well, somebody posted a picture of Bo Levi Mitchell supposedly in a Tiger Cats uniform, and it was like a drawing that a 10-year-old would do.
Oh.
Just drew a Tiger Cats helmet and painted.
Man, all these people out there with awesome Photoshop skills, and we had to resort to somebody using Microsoft Paint. Apparently,
I don't know who that. I can't remember who that was, but I thought that was pretty funny. So I would kind of like to see that. I mean, I think Bo Levi Mitchell still has some gas in the tank. I guess Calgary, wanted to go younger with Jake Mayer. He did well, but
hey, this crop of young CFL quarterbacks all of a sudden that start popping up between Mayer and then our guy from British Columbia,
Rourke.
Rourke. Yeah, so very very exciting to see the new crop of quarterbacks coming up there in the CFL.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him in Hamilton. So.
And where's Johnny Manziel? He's at home washing his jockstrap. Bonus points for whoever gets that reference.
I think that jockstrap has been retired long ago.
Probably.
Oh no, he was in the what was it?
I think you say he was in the courtroom.
The fan-controlled football league.
Oh, yeah, that's
year.
right.
Yeah, what a great choice that was. Okay, got some XFL news this week. The 2023 XFL player draft took place in Las Vegas. It's taking place right now. Today was the first day, and they selected quarterbacks today. And then tomorrow and the day after, the 16th and 17th of November, they're going to be picking the rest of the players for all the different teams. And let's see, before I get into that, they're using a snake-style format where the pick order reverses.
Yeah, if anybody who's played fantasy football, you know how the snake draft works.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that.
So yeah, you go from like 1 to 10, and then 10 to 1, so it just snakes back around.
I think what was it? The USFL used that last year too. Anyway, the draft order is as follows: the number 1 pick went to the DC Defenders, number 2 the St. Louis Battlehawks, number 3 the San Antonio Brahmas, number 4 the Orlando Guardians, number 5 the Las Vegas Vipers. At 6 it was the Seattle Sea Dragons, 7 the Arlington Renegades, and number 8 was the Houston Roughnecks. There were 1,700 players that are vying for 528 training camp spots, and eventually they'll whittle that down to 400 active players for the active duty rosters when the season begins in April. So I wrote down a couple of the quarterbacks that they picked today. I guess it was 11 o'clock this morning.
And I got their official post open.
Yeah, but let's see. Caleb Ellaby from Western Michigan. He got selected by the Houston Roughnecks. Luis Perez, I think he's been in just about every, AAF, USFL, XFL. He's been in every one of these leagues. And I remember him when he won the Division II equivalent of the Heisman Trophy years ago. But he was picked up by the Las Vegas Vipers out of Texas A&M Commerce. And then another one that kind of surprised me, A.J. McCarron from Alabama was picked up by the St. Louis Battlehawks. Were there any others that you wanted to mention? Those were the big 3. I mean, Western Michigan, of course, we've seen Caleb Ellaby play. But, I think each team picked 2 quarterbacks. Several MAC schools were involved. I'm seeing Ball State and, I forget the other MAC schools. But... so everybody picked up 2 quarterbacks except for one team that only picked up 1.
Yeah, apparently the Defenders only grabbed 1. I don't know how or why that worked out the way it did, but I don't know, just very, very interesting.
But so for the next 2 days, you might want to check out the XFL Twitter feed or their website and see if a player that you're familiar with gets picked up by one of these 8 XFL teams. And finally, in the news section, there is some USFL news.
Ooh, I didn't expect this today.
I did not either. The Memphis Showboats are coming back to the USFL. They're being added for the 2023 season. And I thought, this was going to be the 9th team, but then I started seeing divisional pairings, and they're still at 8 teams. So one team got dropped, and that was obviously the Tampa Bay Bandits.
Yep, and I'm looking at their Twitter account right now, which is still active. So it's not like the Bandits became the Showboats. Technically. They're still going to be their own thing because they just put up a post saying, "Thank you, fans. The Bandits will be taking a temporary hiatus for USFL Season 2." So we always kind of figured that the plan was 2 seasons of 8 teams, then by Season 3, they would probably add 4 more teams,
10 or 12
maybe 10 or 12 or something like that. So it sounds like the plan is still to keep the Bandits around. So very happy to see that. I was very confused when I saw the Showboats thing, and then I literally just scrolled down and saw this post by the Tampa Bay Bandits, if you want me to retweet it for the World of Football.
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
But that's cool that they at least acknowledged it, and that clarified a lot of stuff for me. Because here I saw the thing about the Showboats.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, are we getting a 9th and 10th team this year? I wasn't expecting this.
I figured, we might be getting one more in a few days. They'll announce another one.
But no, apparently it's just one team going on hiatus, which will technically mean that we get a new team. So speaking of the Showboats, What do you think about that logo?
Not a fan.
Yeah, not crazy about it either.
No, not a fan. But, at least the name is there.
They changed the color scheme from what the USFL had.
The original team was like
all
red,
the other teams did a
silver.
great job at least keeping the color scheme intact.
Right.
But apparently, maybe they already got too many teams that have that like red color scheme. That red, white, and whatever the third color would be.
Silver or gray color.
So, I don't know. A little bummed that they couldn't at least keep the color scheme. If they would have kept the color scheme with that new logo, maybe you could get away with it. Like, okay, I get it. You're kind of modernizing it. And maybe that classic logo would be that secondary logo that they would have had.
But yeah, it isn't like a blue and gold.
It looks like amazing blue. It looks like they're just ripping off Michigan colors right now. Well, hey, whatever. We got a brand new team in the USFL.
And they're going to be playing in that stadium where we went to see the AAF
and isn't that what
game.
they made it? They also announced that a lot of the games will be Memphis will be the new host city.
There's going to be a couple of host cities, and I don't have that all in front of me, so I don't want to speak out of turn. But
okay, well, I can pull that up probably from the official USFL. I'm pretty sure they said that
But yeah, they're going to have a couple of teams playing out of one city. So there might be four host cities this year, with two teams at each one, playing their home games there. I'm not positive. I'd have to do a little.
Okay, it just says the season will have another location for games in Memphis, Tennessee. So, yeah, maybe they'll have split time there like they did with Canton.
Yeah.
And obviously Birmingham, which I think kind of worked out for them.
Yeah.
But
maybe all four teams in the South will be at one location, and all the teams in the North. I don't know.
Maybe we'll see how they work that out. Kind of like what they did the last year of the when they were the spring league. They did that kind of thing where they had a North location, remember, in Indianapolis, and they had a South one down in Houston, I want to say.
That's right. I'd forgotten about that.
So, we'll see.
Yep. Okay. Peyton's Places, Season 3, Episode 3, aired the other day on ESPN+. On this one, it was called Two Sport Stars. And, of course, when you think Two Sport Stars, you think of Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders, who played in the NFL and Major League Baseball. But, ironically, he was visiting with Russell Wilson, who spent a lot of time in the minor leagues of minor league baseball, and I guess, which I never knew this. I never knew that he was close to being a two-sport star. He got one at bat in the major leagues with the New York Yankees, and that was it. And after that, his baseball career was kind of over. But they showed him and Peyton taking batting practice at the Colorado Stadium there where the Rockies play, and Russell Wilson was hitting him out of the ballpark.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was really good.
Although he's been playing in the NFL recently, there he might have to transition over to baseball.
But Peyton kind of did okay. I think he hit one out of the park after missing a ton of them, and of course he had to run the bases.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
But yeah, I couldn't believe. I didn't know this about Russell Wilson, that he played minor league baseball and was.
I knew he was drafted in the Major League Baseball because when Kyler Murray's name came up, I remember hearing about Russell Wilson had too, and
right.
I didn't remember at the time when Russell got drafted he was also in that Major League draft, but yeah, I knew that he at least was drafted by the Yankees. I thought he went to like spring training and that was it, just kind of as a gimmick.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. But it was interesting, so yeah, you should check that out. Peyton's Places, Season 3, Episode 3 on ESPN+.
Best season so far?
It's been pretty good. Those first two episodes were really good.
Hey, the Lions are 2-0 since they did that episode on the Lions curse.
Yeah, I'm sure that was filmed way last summer. So where was this exercised curse during the first 5 or 6 games of the season?
Valid point.
All right, Arena Football TV on YouTube. The game they posted this week was a 1998 game between the Orlando Predators and the Arizona Wranglers. Jay Gruden was a rookie head coach in Orlando at the time. The Arizona head coach was Danny White, and the game aired on something called the Sunshine Network, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, was a sports network out of Florida.
I'm going to quickly stop here. Are you sure it wasn't the Arizona Rattlers and not...
Did I say Wranglers?
You typed and said Wranglers.
Yes, Rattlers.
For the third time today, we see that Randy's
shut up.
Terrible typing and memory have doomed a segment of this show.
Yeah, okay. Arizona Rattlers.
Way to go. I was like, the Arizona Wranglers. 98. I was like, none of this makes sense to me. Because I was like, did he mean the Austin Wranglers? They weren't around in 1998.
The Arizona Wranglers were a USFL team back in '83.
Is this a crossover that I never heard about? The USFL and Arena Football League?
Okay, moving on. Today's birthdays. November 15th, running back Otis Armstrong was born on this date in 1950. He passed away in 2021 at the age of 70. Played his college football at Purdue and was the 9th overall pick in the 1973 NFL Draft by the Denver Broncos. He played his entire 8-year NFL career with the Broncos from 1973 to 1980, and he was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2012. And now we do have a few obituaries to talk about. This is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place. Our first obituary is that of Ross Fichtler, who played and coached in the NFL. He has passed away at the age of 83. Fichtler played quarterback in college at Purdue. He was selected in the 3rd round of the 1960 NFL Draft by the Cleveland Browns as a defensive back. He played for the Browns from 1960 to 1967 and won an NFL title with the Browns in 1964. He finished his playing career with the New Orleans Saints in 1968. Fichtler then went on to be an assistant coach in the NFL with the Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers, and the Minnesota Vikings.
Our next obituary is that of Adrian Dingle, a defensive end in the NFL for 5 seasons, has passed away at the age of 45. The cause of death was not immediately released. Dingle played college football at Clemson and was selected in the 5th round of the 1999 NFL Draft by the San Diego Chargers. He played for those Chargers from the year 2000 to 2004.
And finally, our last obituary is that of Brent Moss, a running back who played in the NFL, the XFL, and the World League of American Football, has passed away at the age of 50. Moss played college football at Wisconsin and signed as a free agent with the St. Louis Rams in 1995, where he played just 1 season. He also played for the Amsterdam Admirals of the World League of American Football in 1997 and the Memphis Maniacs of the XFL in 2001. All right, that's it for obituaries. Anything else before we head on to this week's history lesson?
Nope, you should be good.
All right. This week we're starting a new discussion. The greatest offensive and defensive team nicknames in football history. This is going to be part 1. We did player nicknames a few weeks ago.
Oh, for 8 weeks. You really milked that one.
Well, there's a lot of them. And I've got enough probably for 5 weeks here. But I'm going to start with some of the most famous ones, in my mind anyway. And the top of the list for me is the Four Horsemen of Notre Dame.
Oh, I mean, come on. Any list should have that team towards the top of it. That's one of the greatest nicknames in football history. I mean, you literally will find merchandise still of the Four Horsemen of Notre Dame. You even get as he stands up and walks across his... Actually, no, that was more of a shuffle. I don't know what that was he just did. He literally got up and did like a happy little hop like he was going to get the last donut from the box at the office. And he's back with his... I don't even know what you'd call that. Plastic
it's like a placard.
little sign.
I found this in the store one time. But anyway, the Four Horsemen of Notre Dame...
Because this is an audio medium and he had to get up and grab it for some reason.
I was thinking that this thing was going to be a little closer and I could read it from where I was sitting, but I couldn't. It's too far away.
And how do you explain the little hop you did to get on over there? That was weird. You were like shuffling your feet like a happy little kid.
Get off my case, man. All right. From 1924, the Four Horsemen of Notre Dame, they were given that nickname by the great Grantland Rice, who mentioned the name in his article the day after the game, and you'll all remember it starts out like this. Outlined against a blue-gray October sky, the Four Horsemen rode again. In dramatic lore, they are known as famine, pestilence, destruction, and death. These are only aliases. Their real names are Stuhldreher, Miller, Crowley, and Layden. And I love this thing. I don't remember what store I found this in, but it's got a picture of the Four Horsemen, and it's got the first few lines of his story that he wrote. And I just love that. And that's probably the most famous nickname of a team or an offensive unit in all of history for a team rather than a person.
What kind of football podcast would we be if we didn't even bring up the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse?
But did you know?
Oh, God.
Were you going to say something else?
No, you're good. I was going to ask if you had a placard for this next
team.
I'm like, are you going to get one too for that?
No. But the Four Horsemen were the 4 backfield members. But
Yep.
did you know that offensive line on that very same team had their own nickname?
I did not.
They were known as the 7 Mules.
Oh, see, that sounds like a Saturday night for me. I go out to the bar, get 7 Moscow Mules. I mean, pretty good night for me.
But yeah, so the 7 guys in front of the 4 horsemen had their own nickname, and a few members of that were one of them was tackle Edgar Rip Miller, who went on to be the head coach at the Naval Academy from 1931 to 1933. Then he became the longtime athletic director at the academy from 1948 to 1974. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1966. Most of these guys, you can look up their names, but they really don't mean anything. But this was one guy that did really amount to something.
Yeah,
of
all the offensive line nicknames I think I've ever heard. I mean, you're gonna get to one in a second that I've definitely heard that you've done history lessons on. But the 7 Mules, that's new to me.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad I educated you.
I learned something today.
Good for you. All right, and number 3 on my list here is the 7 blocks of granite,
which we are familiar with. You did do a history lesson
Yep.
on the 7 blocks of granite
Yep.
before. You can find that history lesson, I believe, on our YouTube channel. By the way, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yep. This was a nickname that the team had back in the 1930s from Fordham University, and probably the most famous player to come off of that line of the 7 blocks of granite was future Green Bay Packers head coach Vince Lombardi.
Oh.
And another player was a future Hall of Famer, Alex Wojciechowicz, who wound up playing for the Detroit Lions.
Oh.
But, there was something else I wanted to say about this. Every year now, in college football, they give out the Vince Lombardi Award to the best lineman in the country. And the statue is literally a little block of granite.
Which you would have learned if you would go and watch Randy's history lesson.
I got my picture taken with that trophy when I went down to the
College
Football Hall of Fame last December. So, yeah, I got a picture of me with the block of granite trophy, the Vince Lombardi trophy. All right, next on the list is the New York Sack Exchange.
Awesome.
Did you ever hear of this before?
I'm sure I've heard the name, but it's still so awesome. It's a great nickname, very creative, very fitting for New York, and just so good.
Yeah, that's a really good one. This comes from the 1980s and the New York Jets. The 2 prominent members of the defensive line there were Mark Gastineau, which I don't know if you're familiar with Mark Gastineau. He used to, every time he'd make a sack, he did this stupid dance, and it was really annoying.
Why don't you do it for everybody right now on the podcast that nobody can see?
No.
Oh, wow, that's how it looked. Wow, Randy, what are you doing with those hips? I mean, dang, you're really moving over there.
Yeah, that's my Mark Gastineau.
He just pulled a tutu out of nowhere, everybody. He is just really dancing around here, light as a feather.
Again, shut up. So Mark Gastineau was one, and the other one was a guy by the name of Joe Klecko. Now, you probably never heard of Joe Klecko, but
name sounds familiar.
You've probably seen him in the movie Smokey and the Bandit.
I've seen that movie.
He had a very small part. Do you remember when they pulled up behind a semi-truck at a bridge? You know, it was like a drawbridge, so the bridge was up.
Every scene.
No. And so they had to wait behind the semi until the bridge came down, and he was trying to keep Buford T. Justice from getting after the bandit, and so Jackie Gleason starts honking his horn because he's not going when the bridge comes down, and the guy gets out of the truck and he's wearing a cowboy hat, and he walks over and he reaches into the car and he bends his badge, the sheriff's badge. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah, of course I remember.
Okay, well that's Joe Klecko.
Okay.
That was a very short scene, but yeah, Joe Klecko and Smokey and the Bandit. And finally, from our list this week, the $1 Million Backfield.
Great nickname.
Now, there were a couple of teams that had this, but I think the San Francisco 49ers from 54 to 56 were the first ones to use this. I believe they were the first. But that group included quarterback Y.A. Tittle, fullback John Henry Johnson, halfback Hugh McElhenney, and fullback Joe Perry. And you know what? All 4 of those guys are now enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Hey, not only did you guys get a nickname together, but y'all got into the Hall of Fame. If anything, that cements the greatness of that nickname.
Now, back in the 1950s, nobody was making $1 million to play football back in those days. So the $1 Million Backfield basically said that these guys are worth $1 million because they're all so good, and they were. Even though, for the 3 years they were together, they never won a title, but they were an awesome backfield and just a really great 4 guys playing on one team at one time. John Henry Johnson actually came to Detroit for a little bit, and I read a book on Y.A. Tittle. What a fascinating career. It came so close to winning a title, but never did for the time that he was playing in the NFL. So that's our 5 nicknames for this week. The 4 Horsemen of Notre Dame, the 7 Mules, the 7 Blocks of Granite, the New York Sack Exchange, and the $1 Million Backfield.
After talking about that, I could really use a Diablo sandwich and a Dr. Pepper because we're in a gosh darn hurry to get this podcast over with.
All right. Yeah,
That's I got to make 2 movie references that, I got to piggyback off of you, but I got to make 2 movie references today. What a good day.
Good for you. All right, so let's move on to our upcoming events calendar. This Saturday, November 19th, we have the 138th Harvard-Yale game being played, as well as the 158th Lehigh-Lafayette game. Then on Sunday, the 20th, the 109th CFL Grey Cup Championship game in Saskatchewan. That game is going to be on ESPN, and it's going to be between the Toronto Argonauts and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And then Monday night, the San Francisco 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals.
Wow. Welcome to the Blunder episode.
Are going to be playing in Mexico City. That's an 8:15 kickoff. That's going to be on ESPN, Monday Night Football. That's a lot going on. That's all this weekend.
Yeah.
And then the weekend after this, November 26th, is the 57th Vanier Cup in London, Ontario. I don't know if we're going to be able to see that game or not. I don't know if that's on ESPN Plus. It might be on ESPN Plus. I'll have to look. But also that day is the end of the FBS college football regular season.
Which means we're going to get all the great games at the end of the year, including Michigan, Ohio State, probably to see who's going to end up in one of the final rankings there before the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah. But that is the end of the regular season for major college football, except for one game, which will be played on Saturday, December 10th, and that's going to be the 122nd Army-Navy game. And that is it for our upcoming events calendar.
And that's it for the show, apparently.
All right.
Good job.
Anything else?
Not really. Nothing's popped up. Okay. I think we're good to just wrap this baby up.
All right. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can also like The World of Football on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/TWOF Kalamazoo. Also, follow our Twitter account, which we are not going to pay for that blue check mark, but that is us at TWOF Kalamazoo.
Yeah, hurry while Twitter is still up and running, because that could be shut down anytime now.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out another platform then at that point. But yeah, new episodes of this very podcast you're listening to are available on Tuesdays and can be found on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and on YouTube, where we post the full audio version of this show there. Also, speaking of our YouTube channel, that is The World of Football Kalamazoo if you do a search, or you could just do youtube.com/@TheWorldOfFootball.
Yep.
We've been getting a lot of great traction lately. Thank you to our subscribers. We've definitely boosted that up. We've gotten over 1,500 views in the last 28 days, which has been really awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, so we appreciate everybody. We know it's still a small little channel that's chugging along, and we appreciate everybody who's coming along for the ride. So please subscribe to the channel. Leave the thumbs up on any videos you come across. We love commenting and interacting with people in those comment sections on all the videos. So come be a part of the football conversation there, everybody.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us sitting right here. Until next time, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm shocked that we're over 1,000 views on our World of Football XFL video. That's pretty crazy.
Cool. We'll see you all next week.